You'll mention that in your reports. Okay, good morning. Would we all please stand for a moment of silence, and then we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to call the Washington County Board of County Commissioners September 12th, 2017 meeting to order. With that, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes from our August 29th meeting.
So moved.
Motion a second for the approval of the August 29th minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Commissioners' reports and comments, we'll do those this evening at our other meeting. And then we'd like to move right down to reports from county staff. We have any staff here today to care to provide a report? Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I have two quick items that I want to share with you from the Planning and Zoning Department. First of all, the Planning Commission completed and approved its annual report. That's required by Maryland's, by the annotated code, and the report goes to the Maryland Department of Planning. It's required by Chapter 1 of the Land Use article. I provided copies of the annual report to Mrs. Lum for her to distribute to you, and you can review them at your leisure. It wasn't my plan to go into the details of what the report says. To combat the wide variety in the way that counties and towns prepare their annual reports, the Department of Planning has provided us with a form to fill out, and so that's what you have is that form where we've simply completed the information that's asked for, answered the questions, and that sort of thing. The Planning Commission's annual report contains information about development activity and how it's related to the county's long-term plan. There are questions about growth and development and where the county intends for growth and development to take place and where it doesn't, and how we make that happen. That's really what the Maryland Department of Planning is interested in, is how local governments are managing their growth and development. The things that we talk about are certain development projects and capital improvements in the growth areas that cause growth to take place there rather than out in the rural areas. The report contains a discussion part where where there are narratives to answer certain questions, and then there are charts that show the number of permits approved, the number of lots approved, and where they're located throughout the county. That's really the contents of the report, and that's what MDP is really interested in. Another one of the subjects that they want us to talk about is how we operate our preservation programs and how that also helps to direct growth into certain locations. And that's really the second item that we wanted to tell you about today, is about our preservation program. That's why Eric Seifert is here, the program administrator, the land preservation administrator, so I'm going to turn it over to him, and he'll give you a piece of good news as well.
Thanks. Good morning. Every 3 years, we're required to recertify our land preservation program and ag transfer tax fund. And in June of this year, the county commissioners approved that application, and I'm happy to report last month the Maryland Ag Land Preservation Foundation approved our application for recertification. So now we get to keep 75% of the ag transfer tax collected instead of 33%. Bottom line, in an average year, we will have about $200,000 extra for purchasing easements. So that would buy an easement on one small farm. So it's good news for us. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Yes. Well, for total, all easement programs, it's about 31,000 acres. And just the temporary 10-year, within that number is 18,000 acres. Well, I'm sorry, in addition to that number is 18,000 acres. 50,000 acres, yeah. Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other staff reports?
I have it's basically what I need to do. As you know, last year, as part of our budget, we put in the funding for a salary study. We didn't spend all the money in 2017, so what we had to do was move it into 2018. So this is basically just a budget adjustment for the money that's left over from 2017. And I just need your approval because it's over $25,000. That's basically it. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
This is just a transfer
Just a
from
transfer.
one year to the next. Make a motion.
Transfer from one year to the next. We've already had one invoice, which you'll see we've paid at $12,721.50. And so we have a leftover fee or leftover amount of $33,830 that needs to move into FY 2018.
You'd mentioned because it's over $25,000,
Yes.
I thought we had a $50,000 threshold.
You do for change orders, yes. And I've asked senior staff, and that's why Steph has passed you the budget transfer request. In the future, any budget transfer requests that you're asked to approve, that you actually see them when you're approving them, so you have them in front of you. So thank you, Steph,
Sure.
for doing that.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion and second for the approval of the request. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Any other?
Good morning, Commissioners. I come to you this morning to give you a brief report on the Wings and Wheels Expo 2017 that we had at the airport on Saturday. It was a beautiful day, I think around 70, a couple degrees, mild winds, and just beautiful clouds. It couldn't have been a better day. In attendance, we counted at the gate 5,295 folks that walked through the gate. In our cruise-in that we had, approximately 275 guests, about 300 walk-ins at our cruise-in gate. So we were almost at 6,000 folks that came to the airport on Saturday. I couldn't be more happy with that turnout. The cruise-in, we had about 190 vehicles of all types, makes, sizes, shapes, including motorcycles, vintage fire engines, tractors, military vehicles, semi-trucks. We had some airport equipment on display, and also a tour bus, a brand new Prevost tour bus, and a crane. We had about 30 aircraft on display, and as a result of this event, the museum brought in about $7,000 towards their cause, and that's in donations, sales of goods, their PT-19 aircraft rides, 50/50 and selling drinks and so forth. There were some other nonprofits there selling food that made some money as well. There were a couple of for-profit businesses that will contribute back to the museum. Airport expenses were right around $13,000, but as a result of credits and sponsors, we probably have no expense as far as the airport budget goes. So many people to thank as a result of this day. Had it not been for the good weather, I'm not sure what the outcome would have been, but it was just a tremendous day, a very large event. That many people coming to the airport. Just a blanket thank you to everybody out there that participated in any way. We had lots of positive comments as a result of the event, both in person and on social media. Huge thanks to my airport staff before, during, and after the fact, getting ready for conducting and then cleaning up after. And as always, thank you, Commissioners, for your support. It was a very successful day for Washington County and the Hagerstown Regional Airport. Thank you.
Bill, Phil?
Yes.
I have one quick question. I saw a really nice photo of staff when Air Force One came in, of staff in front of it. Would that be permissible to post on our website front page?
Sure,
for
absolutely.
that-
Sure,
Okay, great. Thank you.
no problem.
Any other staff reports?
Morning.
Morning, Mr. Rhodes.
Back in September of 2016, the board awarded a contract for the detention center to use of biomonitor equipment as far as GPS and alcohol monitoring bracelets and whatnot. Since then, the courts have asked that that same program be instituted in the day reporting center, and that would be just a modification to the existing contract that's already in place with the same pricing. And I have an amendment to the existing contract that will need to be signed by the board if everyone agrees to do that. No additional costs. Everything's the same. The courts just want to have the same program in place as the detention center, also in the day reporting center. It's just a monitoring program for alcohol and GPS.
Okay, we have a motion provided by Commissioner Klein. Need a second? Motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 4-0.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other staff reports? No.
Go ahead, John.
We'll go to Mr. Marder.
What I have, and what's in your packet is a resolution entitled Enacting Revised Fee System for Settlement and Erosion Control Plan Review. As you may recall, on August 29th, Soil Conservation came before this board and proposed a revised fee system. This board approved the revised fee system at that time. I think I did mention at that time that there would need to be a formal resolution. So it's in your packet. So I present the resolution enacting those fees effective October 1st, 2017. Which fees were they? It's the soil conservation was here. It was 2 weeks ago at your last meeting. If I recall, the Building Association endorsed it, separated the fees. Right, that is correct. They did, we did talk to them, and we're all that.
Okay, motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Thank you. I thought I saw someone else. Nope, back to Rob.
I have three quick comments, President, Commissioners. One, Commissioner Barr is on board meeting with the Tri-County Council, so he's not here today. He's working with the Tri-County Council today. 2, City Park, Remembrance in the Park. I have some notes here. That starts at 6 o'clock, and as you know, it's in your calendar, Commissioners, if you'd like to attend or can attend. Quick notes I have: music provided by New Horizons Band at 5:45, a memorial ceremony at 6 p.m. to honor fallen heroes, sponsored by Washington County Citizens Corps. And at 7 o'clock this evening, Keysville evening meeting. So if it is a visit, perhaps you can stop by there at the Remembrance in the Park. And that's all I have.
Okay, boards and commissions.
I do have one, as soon as I can pull it up. Okay, I would need a motion concerning the Mental Health Authority. They would like to reappoint Sandra Rogers to serve a second 3-year term as a consumer representative. They would like to appoint Kyle Powderly to serve a first full 3-year term as a clergy representative. To reappoint Jennifer Lowry to serve a third 3-year term as a child advocate representative. And then appoint Rita Bratcher to serve a first 3-year term as a consumer representative on the Washington County Mental Health Authority.
Okay, everyone okay? Need a motion for those. Second. Motion is second to approve of those recommendations. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Okay, last chance for staff reports, comments. Move it down to citizens' participation. Do we have any citizens here this morning that would care to participate? Please come forward, tell us your name, address, and what you'd like for us to know. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Brent Walls. I live in Williamsport, Maryland. I am also the Upper Potomac Riverkeeper for a nonprofit Potomac Riverkeeper Network. I think it's been about a year since I spoke with you guys. I do like the new digs. The last time we were upstairs, I believe, so this is my first time here in the new facility. I just wanted to inform you of a public meeting that we're having this Thursday, and I have flyers that I can give for you for reminder. In the past year, my organization has developed a coalition of other organizations, regional organizations, both Maryland, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia, in opposition to the pipeline that's proposed by TransCanada in your backyard, west of Hancock. In this year, we've gained about 3,000 or more residents in opposition, businesses, water authorities, several Maryland state legislators who are all in opposition to the pipeline. And we are in the process of communicating to the Maryland Department of the Environment, and they have also concerns as well as the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. So there's a lot of parties that are concerned, and I just wanted to invite you all to the public meeting right here in town this Thursday at 7 o'clock at the John Wesley United Methodist Church on Potomac Street. So I will be there, and we're expecting at least a couple hundred residents in the area to talk about where their drinking water comes from, about the risks and hazards of the pipeline.
Thank you.
Should I?
So you just hand those to us? Okay, any other citizens here this morning care to participate? Okay, moving on down to the rejection of bid PER 1354, one new aircraft truck with rapid heat and forced air system.
Good morning again. Before you is PUR 1354's rejection of the aircraft, the ice truck with a rapid heat and forced air system for the airport. Recommended motion, move to reject the bid received on August 9th, 2017 for the purchase of one aircraft, the ice truck with a rapid heat and forced air system due to the bid did not meet the department's specifications. The bid was advertised in various media as far as email and marketplace, local newspapers. It was 26 persons downloaded the bid document on the county's website. And it was one bid received which was considered non-responsive. The department is going to revise the specification and re-advertise for the price, to solicit new pricing for a aircraft Deice unit. And also you can see the fiscal impact, and as far as the airport CIP budget, we have concurrences from the Director of the Division of Public Works in the Federal Administration Aviation. And also there is a bid tab matrix that shows the pricing of the bids received.
What was the amount of that bid?
299,000.
Okay, any questions, comments? A recommendation to support the request?
Motion to support the rejection.
Okay, we have, you fight over. Okay. Have a motion, a second, to support the recommended motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Thank you. Bid award PUR 1355, one new multipurpose airport Rotary, Plow, airport runway Broom with Airblast system and a carrier vehicle at the Hagerstown Regional Airport. Mr. Curry and Mr. Ridenour.
This bid award is PUR 1355. Before we get started on the make a recommendation for this award, a couple weeks ago, there was a request by the Department of Community Grant Management to apply for a grant application for the purchase of this piece of equipment, which has been approved by FAA, and we're asking that the board accept that grant prior to me making a recommendation for this award.
Okay, any comments, Mr.?
The grant is in the amount of $725,000. It exceeds the amount of the purchase of the vehicle, but that money will be able to be carried over onto possibly the Deice truck that we're talking about.
Okay, and then, of course, you see the percentage breakdown of who supports what. That's
Yes.
90%
It's
federal.
a 90% grant, 5% county, 5% state, and we do have the money in the CIP for that purchase.
Okay, a motion to approve? Motion is second for the approval of the recommendation. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Was that just for the grant, or was that for also the procurement of the unit?
Grant.
That was just for the grant?
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, bid award PUR 1356, intervention and case management for youth of incarcerated.
Go back up, we need to approve the bid, 1355 bid.
We've got to approve the bid for the
Gotcha.
Kind of stuff.
You did the grant, now we do the bid, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, need a motion to approve the bid.
Make a motion to approve the bid.
Motion second, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 4-0.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay, now we're ready for bid award PUR 1356, intervention and case management for youth and incarcerated parents in Washington County. Mr. Curry and Ms. Laypole, how are you two today?
Good, how are you?
The subject before you is contract award PUR 1356, intervention and case management for youth of incarcerated parents in Washington County, Maryland. Recommended motion, move to award the contract for the intervention and case management for youth of incarcerated parents program in Washington County, Maryland, to the responsible proposer with the responsible proposal, Potomac Case Management Services Incorporated of Hagerstown, Maryland, in the amount of $100,000. The purpose of the service to fulfill the requirements of the county's community partnership agreement for the fiscal year of 2018 with the Governor's Office of Children's, and the service to be performed during the contract period that commence upon the contract execution will end on June 30th, with an option by the Community Grant Management Office to renew the award up to 2 additional 1 years through fiscal year 2020. There was a coordinated committee meeting. We went through the proposals, looked at all the information provided. The RFP was advertised in a local newspaper, and 65 persons downloaded the RFP. Funding from the Maryland's Governor's Office for Children's, an amount of $100,000 is for the payment of the grant, and he also attaches a scope of work showing what will be entailed to be provided by Potomac Case Management Service Incorporated.
Okay, everything, Dan? Okay, questions, comments, commissioners? If none, a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion, a second for the recommended motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Thank you. Okay, contract award, 1357, Community Planning and Program Development Consultant in Washington County. Mr. Curry.
Before you, subject is contract award PUR 1357, Community Planning and Program Development Consultant in Washington County. Recommended motion, move to award the contract for the Community Planning and Program Development Consultant in Washington County, Maryland, to the responsible proposer with the responsive proposal, Thomas P. Miller Associates of Indianapolis, Indiana, in the amount of $120,000. The purpose of the service to fulfill the requirements of the contractual agreement for fiscal year 2018 with the Governor's Office of Children. The award of the funds for Community Planning and Program Development Consultants shall commence upon the receipt of a fully executed contract between the Board of County Commissioners of Washington County and the awarded vendor. The awarded contract shall expire on June 30th of 2018 with no options for renewal or an extension. There was a coordinated committee meeting with all the members who went through all proposals, looked at the information that was provided. The RFP was advertised in the local newspaper. Funding for the program is through the Governor's Office, and we recommend that the award be made to Thomas P. Miller Associates of Indianapolis, Indiana, and also there's a scope of work from the RFP stating what will be entailed within that work.
Okay, any questions, comments? If none, a motion to approve. A motion and a second for the approval. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Emergency Number System Board Security System, approval to accept the award funding. Ms. Laypole, good morning again.
Good morning. Again, I'm Stephanie Laypole, Grant Manager with the Office of Community Grant Management, and with me today is Bardana Woods, Assistant Director with the Department of Emergency Communications. We are here today seeking approval for the acceptance of the award from the Emergency Number Systems Board in the amount of $79,467.39. Emergency Services submitted a funding request on July 27, 2017, requesting to purchase and install a completely updated security system for the primary public safety answering point. Included in the funding request were 32 electronic door locks, 17 security cameras, 3 video stations, associated equipment, and licenses. The Office of Community Grant Management has reviewed the funding request and grant guidelines. There is no matching fund requirement associated with this request. There will be recurring annual maintenance expenses in the amount of $2,446, which will be reflected for the first time in the fiscal year 2020 Emergency Services proposed operating budget. The total annual maintenance expense for 4 years is $9,784. The Emergency Number Systems Board covers all first-year maintenance costs. Are there any questions?
Okay, any questions, comments, Commissioners?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to accept or approve. Any further, I need a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hagerstown Urban Improvement Project, this pedestrian bridge component.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Commissioners, James Hovis, Director, Office of Community Grant Management. With me is Brennan Garrett, the Senior Architectural Project Manager for the Department of Engineering and Construction Management. Also present in the gallery are several of our urban improvement project partners, and we appreciate their attendance today. Commissioners, we're here today to discuss the pedestrian bridge component to the Hagerstown Urban Improvement Project, and we're asking that you reach a consensus as to the roles and responsibilities of the county for the funding and maintenance of the pedestrian walkway connecting the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts and the University System of Maryland in Hagerstown, which is located at 55 to 59 West Washington Street in Hagerstown. In addition to the in-kind service, the county has budgeted $4.5 million in capital for the Hagerstown Urban Improvement Project. The county is also administering the governor's grant of $7.5 million and delegation grants received this year and in future years. The grant applications are now in progress and will be returned to the state immediately upon completion of those applications. So for the completion of those documents, staff has been working with the grant beneficiaries and our partners to determine the remaining details for this project. Now, a very important component to the UIP is a pedestrian walkway which will connect the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts and the University System of Maryland in Hagerstown. The walkway will serve as a secure means to move students attending BIFSA and USMH to utilize labs and attend classes. The 55 to 59 West Washington Street property is being renovated by a developer with plans to lease the property to the University System of Maryland to house new programs and accommodate these BIFSA students. Washington County Public Schools has indicated the pedestrian walkway should be elevated, secured, and while their preference is an entirely enclosed structure, they are receptive to a semi-open structure. A semi-open structure will reduce HVAC and sprinklering requirements as well as initial and long-term expense. The walkway will be approximately 150 linear feet, spanning the distance between the rear of BIFSA to the rear of University System of Maryland building at 55 to 59 West Washington. The walkway would be in close proximity to the rear of the county office building at 33 West Washington Street and will require relocation and modification to the mechanical and electrical systems and physical structures of the county office building. The expenses associated with these modifications to the county office building are included in the total walkway estimated cost. The developer of 55 to 59 West Washington Street has contracted a local firm to provide conceptual drawings and give preliminary cost estimates of the pedestrian bridge. Completion of the conceptual design is expected on or about September 18, 2017, and these expenses have been funded by the developer. Per an MOU, which we currently have in place, Washington County Public Schools will maintain the interior of the walkway, and the county will be responsible for the exterior maintenance at a cost of approximately $5,000 annually. The City of Hagerstown will be briefed on the desire of the UIP partners that the City of Hagerstown or the University System of Maryland construct and own the pedestrian walkway. Now, the total cost of the pedestrian bridge is estimated at $1.5 million. The developer is committed to funding up to 1/3 or a maximum of $250,000 of the walkway expense. Washington County delegation has secured in this fiscal year $200,000 in state funding and is committed to securing additional funds to cover all remaining expenses of the bridge. The construction of the pedestrian walkway will not increase the county's financial commitment to the overall UIP project. The Washington County Chief Financial Officer has indicated that funds are available to allow the county to forward fund this project, allowing the completion of the bridge to be consistent with the completion of the remainder of the UIP components, which that's very critical that occur. So the items we're asking for the commissioners to consider today for consensus include, number one, support of a plan for the City of Hagerstown or the University System of Maryland to construct and own the pedestrian walkway. Number two, the county's continued commitment to maintain the exterior of the pedestrian walkway. Number three, the county's commitment to forward fund the pedestrian walkway expenses to allow completion to coincide with the completion of the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts and the University System of Maryland at Hagerstown. The fiscal impact to this project will be the pedestrian bridge may require forward funding up to $1.5 million to allow completion of the project to coincide with other UIP components. But please understand that we do expect to receive that in return for grant funding in out years also. And also exterior maintenance cost of approximately $5,000 annually. Brennan, do you have anything to add? There is a map in your packet which shows the overhead view of the Downtown Urban Improvement Project. If you look to the top of buildings A and B, you'll see the BISFA, Washington County Public Schools building to the right, and then you'll see the pedestrian bridge which spans from the rear of the current BISFA building, which is already constructed, follows immediately to the rear of 33 West Washington Street, and then connects to the rear of 55 to 59 West Washington Street. Mr. Slocum, or any additions?
I'd like to say that Jim and Brennan are fully up to speed on this. Everything here is accurate, and I concur, as it says in the agenda report form, with the recommendation. As Jim said, there are members of the audience here today that are part of the project, stakeholders, and investment. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
This bridge is now up to $1.5 million. What was the original anticipated cost of that pedestrian bridge, do you recall?
I think it started at $600,000 and then $750,000. We are hoping that our 1.5 is too high. As Jim mentioned, September 18, which is next Monday, less than a week away, 6 days, we should have a conceptual design, which would allow us to have a conceptual cost estimate. Hopefully ours is too high and will come in lower. There are just an extraordinary amount of details involved with this bridge that have led to the current cost estimate.
Is this something that we can table as far as approval until, I mean, what's going to happen if we table this until we get those cost, approximate cost estimates in?
Well, it's a very good question. First, going to the city this afternoon, as the city council will hear from staff a recommendation to own and build the bridge. So to have this in place is very important. As we said, the cost estimates should be worst case scenario. They are just that at this point, estimates. They should, if anything, come down. That's our best report to you at this time. But to table it would only further delay the agreements and the grant applications that Jim and Brennan are working on most exclusively through Jim's office, being the Office of Grant Management.
That's probably my question. What affects you as far as grants?
I'm sorry.
I want to make sure we're not slowing up the grants.
Would a bit. It would a bit. Yes, it would.
How does that, I don't mean to interrupt, but if we're going to be forward funding possibly $1.5 million, I don't know what that has to do with not making a decision today.
I'm getting all the ingredients in the fact of my mind as far as just because we're saying up to doesn't mean we're saying 1.5. And I just want to be sure with due diligence that I'd rather be looking at 925,000 or whatever that number really is as far as some kind of approval. That's all. I'm for the bridge. I wanted to, under the scenario, to go forward. I'm happy now that one of the other two partners will be owning the bridge. I have no problem with the maintenance and moving forward on that part. But still, I guess that's the world I live in. I kind of like some more absolutes when it comes to numbers than up to this amount.
Commissioner, it's important to remember that even though we will be forward funding the 1.5 million, we do fully intend to receive $1.5 million in other funding. Maybe just shy of that because of the developer's commitment of $250,000. So we do expect grant funding.
And we did get, what do we get from the state?
That number changes daily as well.
No, not for the state as far as funding. Didn't we get a bond bill?
Yes, we did. Well, from the governor's office, from the bond bill from the state and the delegation is $200,000 this year, and it's anticipated to be similar, equal or similar in future years.
My question, has the city expressed interest in owning the bridge publicly or privately to any of us?
There's been a great deal of discussion about it at staff level, yes, sir, there has. And from the stakeholders, the consensus is that either USM or the city of Hagerstown, who owns the land underneath, would own the bridge, yes. It's also, the bridge is also directly beside the plaza, which the city will own and will largely schedule events and so forth. So there's consistency there with the bridge and the plaza.
So the annual cost of just maintaining is going to be approximately $5,000 a year?
That's the estimate, correct?
That's the estimate at this
Okay,
time.
and then when's the end of the life cycle? Is it for eternity? Is that you're based that on 25 years, 30 years, 50 years?
Well, maintenance is maintenance.
Well, I understand that, but when you do it over time, it comes out to a substantial amount of money.
I think to address your question, we could have in there up to the useful life cycle of the bridge that's under consideration. In other words, it wouldn't be upon the county to rebuild the bridge in 50 to 75 years. I think that's a very wise and appropriate point to make, yes.
And then that 5,000 would cover what type of maintenance?
Well, early on,
Does that cover the employee cost?
Window washing.
Huh?
Window washing.
we have two aspects to this. It's important to reiterate what Jim said is that the interior of the bridge under the MOU would be maintained by the Board of Education. So that's very important. This will be is likely to be a semi-open, so everything underneath and on the exterior would be maintained by the county. So obviously in the first few years, we would anticipate relatively no cost. In the future years would be painting, maintenance, upkeep, Without seeing the final design of the bridge, it's difficult to say. Largely could be concrete, could be a great deal of steel, which requires more maintenance and painting. So, as I said, Monday we'll have more information as to details and probably future costs.
Support this part of it, just the maintenance. For me, it would have to come out of our 4.5 million that we've already allocated. I'm not going a penny beyond $4.5 million.
I think as far as the delegation and Senator Serafini in particular and Delegate Wilson, they've been quite successful in bringing funds to the table. An opportunity to applaud their efforts, which may allow us to do exactly what you've just said, deduct that long-term maintenance out of the 4.5.
If I support, I don't know. Are we going to? You want to, Commissioner Myers? You want to wait until after the contracts come in for the bridge, or do you want to move forward on this tonight?
I think I'm ready to move forward, based on what Jim's telling us here, Mr. Hovis.
Any other commissioner comments or anything? Okay, I'm going to support it if it's included that amount comes out of the $4.5 million.
And that the county would not be responsible to replace the bridge at the end of the life cycle.
Correct.
How about if we reword that the county would come out of the county's obligated 4.5 million, or if another source is found to,
Meaning a grant.
yes, or something,
Yeah,
okay?
I'm okay with that.
All right, I'd like to make all that a motion then. It would be either the city or USMH.
One or the other, yes. That's some of the items up for discussion and determination next couple of weeks.
So this only obligates us to the maintenance.
That's correct.
Maintenance and the funding as a
Yeah, I mean,
delegation money or other funding
Forward
sources come
funding,
in.
the forward funding.
We have a motion on the floor. So I have a motion on the floor with supporting the maintenance and the cost of the maintenance coming out of the $4.5 million unless there's other funding sources available or found. Forward funding. Well, I wanted to. I guess my question is, I'll just go ahead and ask it. When do you anticipate the $1.5 million forward funding coming back to the county?
Oh, we have $250 from the developer. We have another 200 committed this year. That takes us to 450. It would depend on the delegation's ask and award.
So you're saying it could come over this year or maybe a couple years?
Could be over a couple of years. It could be over 4 to 5 years. It depends on how successful and the numbers that our delegation asked for in the General Assembly.
And if the number is only 750, as Rob's alluded to, it could be shorter than later.
Yes.
And
It's important that our Senator Serafini, Delegate Wilson, and others are also looking to find other funding methods, which could make this much quicker also.
And where are we at right now with the amount that would be applied to this, the 200 they got last year, and the grants, or how much?
The 200,000 that would receive this year in delegation bond bills. The developer's $250,000.
Okay, so we're at 450. If we get another 2 this year, so we'd be at 650. And if it's 750, we're almost there anyhow.
So that's what we'd be forward.
Yes.
Would that 750 or whatever the amount is, does that come out of the 4.5 million that we've already committed, or that's?
No, that's an addition. That's part of this. That's part of this line of credit that we have with the state.
And I suppose at the opposite end of the spectrum, we're hoping that the bid comes in much below what was presented to us. But if it happens to be higher for whatever reason, that would give us an opportunity to rethink this.
If it were greater than 1.5, I think I'd have to bring this forward to you and say, here we are with the forward funding. Now, what I think we're going to have to do, without crossing that bridge, to be prepared to cross that bridge, what we're going to have to do at that time, we'd have to bring forward all the stakeholders and say, okay, this costs more than was anticipated. Where's the funding coming from? And is the county comfortable with forward funding that additional amount?
We don't get all our tax revenue July 1st, but we still have expenses. It's just like all of our CIP projects, they're pretty much all forward funding until the grant comes in, or we get
that's my other question. This support today, or what Commissioner Myers has recommended, will not affect our borrowing this upcoming year or anything like that. Has no impact on that.
Deb and I had that discussion, the answer is no.
Yeah, I think we had that discussion on, basically, again, the line of credit that we have with the state. That line of credit does not affect your, any kind of. Right.
I would, the way I have it is to summarize the 1, 2, 3 points at the end, in addition to Mr. Myers. I've got to support the plan for the city of Hagerstown or University System of Maryland, Hagerstown, to construct and own the pedestrian walkway. The county's continued commitment to maintain the exterior of the pedestrian walkway. The county's commitment to forward fund the pedestrian walkway expenses to allow completion to coincide with completion of BISFA and USMH. And then Commissioner Myers added, will not impact borrowing, excuse me a minute, the $4.5 million, or if another source is found to cover that amount.
I have two other things. One is that the the maintenance costs be removed from the $4.5 million commitment that the commissioners have made. And second, that the county is not responsible for replacement of the bridge at the end of its life cycle.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
That's my motion.
Okay, that's the heavy motion. So we would need a second. Okay, we have a motion, a second. Now, do we have any further discussion?
All depending on what the city of Hagerstown says tonight, correct?
If yeah, there's a lot riding on the city's discussion today, certainly, and then USM or USM.
I'd be in favor of the county paying the bridge, but we need to expedite this project.
You'd be in favor of the county?
I'd be in favor of the county owning the bridge, but I think more importantly is that this project move forward.
Okay, so you're supporting the motion as
we vote,
okay, has nothing to do with the ownership. Okay. Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay. On the agenda here. Construction bid award, Bottom Road Drainage Improvement, contract number DRBR 215-12. Mr. Hobbs, how are you this morning?
Fine, thank you. Good morning. Scott Hobbs, Director of Engineering. And I'm here to recommend that the board award the Bottom Road Drainage Improvement contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Fayetteville Contractors of Fayetteville, Pennsylvania, in the amount of $174,281.29. The project was advertised in the Herald Mail, on the county's website, on an email marketplace. 5 bids were received on Wednesday, August 23rd. The bids were evaluated, and the low bid of Fayetteville Contractors is in order. The engineer's estimate for this work was $205,000. The project involves the installation of storm drain, consisting of precast concrete inlets, precast concrete manholes, high-performance polypropylene pipe, and minor road work, including grading, asphalt, paving, and pavement markings. This is a 90 consecutive day calendar contract, and the project is tentatively scheduled for late September. The bid documents include liquidated damages for the amount of $500 per calendar day for work beyond the completion date. The road will be closed to through traffic at the northernmost point of Bottom Road during normal working hours for the contractor, At the end of each day, the road will be open to one-way southbound traffic. Appropriate signs will be posted, and there'll be flagging operations at times during the day for some of the work. This is a budgeted capital improvement project with an unencumbered balance of $253,800. Total expenses include the bid award, proposed bid award, the inspection, testing, utilities, and 10% for construction contingency. This project also includes contribution from State Highway Administration. Part of the drainage area comes from Maryland 68, and as part of the contribution, the State Highway is providing $20,000, up to $20,000, the amount of the contract to contribute to the project, and that relates to their area of drainage compared to the county's area of drainage. This is all due to the flooding. It's an ongoing flooding area at this area at Bottom Road and Maryland 68. Also need to execute an MOU with the state to secure those funds. So that's also part of this request. This is the most cost-effective and practical alternative. This portion of the road, like I mentioned, is prone to flooding, and this is a project in need of work here. With that, if you have any questions.
Okay, any questions, comments? Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
A motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, request to declare certain real property as surplus property and conveyance of same. Ms. Small, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you all?
Good.
Today I'm here to request to declare a certain real property as surplus and conveyance of the same. Susan Small, Real Property Administrator with the Engineering Department. My recommended motion is to move to declare the certain real property as surplus property and to authorize the advertising of the county's intent to convey 430 linear feet to the adjacent property owner of Hopewell Landing, LLC. The Board of County Commissioners of Washington County is the current owner of an old abandoned roadbed, which at one time was part of the Hopewell Road. Hopewell Road was long ago relocated, and the subject roadbed was abandoned by action of the board on January 22nd, 1985. It is not used as a functioning public roadway. Other portions of the old roadbed were formally conveyed to an adjacent property owner. The fair market value of the roadbed has been determined to be approximately $4,300 using comparable properties and sales in the area. Hopewell Landing has requested that the board consider conveying any interest it may have in the approximate 430 linear feet of the old abandoned roadbed to the developer, since it intends to develop 2 parcels of land located along the roadbed. The developer has submitted a final site plan for approval to Washington County Planning Commission for the proposed development. And there is an aerial map showing the area.
Who is Hopewell Landing LLC?
Actually, Andrew's here to represent them, right? Maybe answer that a little bit.
While Andrew comes up, the other aspect of this is under road and traffic improvements. The owner has agreed to pay up to $300,000 for improvements. So this is a very small consideration in light of that donation that's been made.
Hopewell Landing is a landowner, land development company, generally located in Annapolis. All told, they probably own about 3,000 units across the state of Maryland, apartment units. They filed site plan last night with the Planning Commission. That hearing was held last night, and that was site plan approved, pending final staff comments and corrections on the site plan. But that site plan has been approved by the Planning Commission. As part of Roads APFO, they're going to pay $300,000, and getting this roadbed was part of that $300,000. So this is a very small portion, $4,300 worth of a $300,000 payment they're going to make. They'll be making a mitigation contribution for schools APFO, a little bit over $128,000. So their hope is that they will be able to utilize the road as a secondary access into the apartment complex that has been approved.
So it's going to be
And it was on the site plan that that the Planning Commission saw.
An apartment complex, you say?
Yes, sir.
So who is the LLC? Do you know any of the owners' names? Just
Arthur Edwards and Jeff Paxson of Annapolis, Maryland.
And what type of units are they going to be building there?
5 buildings, 12 units each, 2 and 3 bedrooms. There'll be 42 bedrooms and 42 bedrooms and 23 bedrooms. And there will be a community center as well for the complex.
So is this an extension of the apartment complex that's already there?
Yeah, their ownership group already owns Hopewell Manor. Their ownership group, Mr. Edwards' father was in the ownership group that built Hopewell Manor. Now it's the next generation of owners. They're going to extend essentially Hopewell Manor, but it'll be a new project, $17 million project to build Hopewell Landing. That'll be 5 buildings, 60 units each.
So how about
That's phase 1. They'll come back in phase 2 and rehab Hopewell Manor. But Hopewell Landing is not the same as Hopewell Manor. Hopewell Landing is not rent subsidy. Tenants pay full rent. The ownership group is able to charge less rent because they apply through the state of Maryland for the financing for construction costs. State of Maryland can approve their applications and can go out to an institutional lender, borrow money from a real bank, but they get favorable loan terms that allow them to financially not have to charge full rent. So let's say 3-bedroom in Washington County goes for $1,200, let's say. Their 3 bedrooms will be $950. But people have to apply to live there. They have to have income to live there. So the target for this type of community, it's probably the first true new construction workforce housing in Washington County. So our target individual to live there is somebody that already makes, $40,000 to $60,000.
So you don't see them applying for any kind of pilot or other tax incentive programs with the county?
They're absolutely not going to apply for a pilot.
How about?
I mean, think they're paying $300 for roads APFO. They're paying $128 for schools APFO. They're not coming to the county for a pilot.
So how about over there to our other complex, Hopewell Manor? Are they on a pilot or anything there that you're aware of?
I'm not aware that they are on a pilot or not. I do not know the answer to that. But phase 2 would be to come back into Hopewell Manor and then update those units, because you're going to have a brand new complex next door. Let's bring the old one up to snuff.
And they won't be requesting, they'll only get the same tax rate that they currently have.
Yeah, I don't have any information that anybody's coming back in to ask for a pilot on Hopewell Manor. I don't even know if Hopewell Manor has a pilot. It's never even been a part of my discussion with the client to do anything with Hopewell Manor.
The common grounds or the facilities that recreation facilities that'll be built or proposed here would be usable by both facilities. Is that correct?
I believe that answer is yes, because once it's built, it's going to look almost like one community. Driving access to part of Hopewell Landing will be through Hopewell Manor.
I saw it at the Planning Commission last night.
And there's, well, I guess, is this necessary for them to move forward with the development? Do they have to have this to move forward with the development?
Having that second vehicle access, as you're looking at your diagram there, as that access goes up towards I-70, sort of where that yellow line ends, that's going to be, envision a parking lot extending there, extending all the way over to the railroad tracks, and then looping all the way around back to the Hopewell Manor where you see the word proposed conveyance. So it's an entire loop for driving access and for parking lot. That's where all the parking is. And then in the interior of that is where all the buildings are.
We
And
do
the
not
tot
use
lots in the,
We do not use this. It will be put back on the tax rolls. And for the little bit that it is,
and Commissioner Baker, we're paying for it.
No, I understand.
Yeah, so.
I'm just,
The reason it's there, President Baker and commissioners, is because when the interstate went through, that road was abandoned. It was realigned to the existing Hopewell, which is also on your map. So it's a fragment of a piece of road that we have that's in the middle of nowhere, really. It's of no use to us. This business interest has shown over the years, I think, with the existing facilities, maintenance and upkeep has been outstanding.
it's no use to us.
It's
zero.
Right.
And for the little bit of land it is, so.
It's not even it is barely a county road today. It's not maintained and it dies off into the woods.
so looking at the map here, Hopewell Landing owns on the other side of the road as well.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
What we're possibly conveying, Hopewell LLC owns on the other side of that yellow line also.
The way it's depicted here, yes.
They use that road for access now.
No, nobody uses it.
Well, how do they get
We
into
don't
Hopewell?
even use it to get
Well,
back.
how comes Hopewell Landing is not landlocked then?
Because it's probably
Nothing
public
happening there right now.
It's probably public. It's probably still considered public right of way, and their frontage would be that piece of public.
That's what I'm
right-of-way.
saying. But now we're conveying to them as their driveway.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, if we would give it to you, then they're landlocked.
No, they have access out to Hopewell Road.
If we wouldn't give them access.
Well, Pepper Road, yeah, they do.
Yes, they do, yeah.
I don't see where this has really anything to do with the access.
Well, no, when we give them the yellow line, so to speak, we're giving them access out to Pepper Bush Circle. Is that right? Or
In
we
theory,
only-
correct, because the other owner could, which is the same ownership group, really.
Does it make-
They could deny access, I guess.
Just one question. Does it make more sense for us to only give them access or convey the property up to the property between Case Edward Management and Hopewell Landing?
No, because somewhere in the deeds, somewhere in the records, it shows that yellow line as, the whole yellow line as owned by the county.
No, okay, but I'm saying only convey as we look at the page, the upper portion from their property line to then still the county. And I guess I'm saying that because and I'm assuming I understand, but we're bringing this out here in Hopewell Farms. Would that be then considered a right-of-way, Andrew?
For whom?
Everybody?
No.
No. So we're actually giving them not only the portion back that's all on their properties, but we're also then making a deeded driveway, not right-of-way. That's where their little panhandle will come out to that Pepper Bush Circle, or whatever's that street right there.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Pepper Bush Court.
Yeah.
You're creating their panhandle.
Yes, we're creating a 50-foot wide or 60-foot wide driveway back to their properties.
Yes. That is going to connect in a whole loop.
So my only question is, I see where it doesn't affect, I mean, what does that do to the possibility of the Hopewell Cushwell Farms Corporation that owns this, that would be able to get access off of the small portion going back to where the three properties come together, or on Hopewell Road, which they may not ever get?
We did confirm with Tim Lung that they do have access off of Hopewell Road before we went the route of this proposed conveyance.
Okay.
Yeah, we confirmed that with planning.
Because I don't know who, I don't know who, obviously, who Cushwell Farms Corporation is.
Right, it is a
But
different,
but
it is
they
a
may
different
also-
organization.
Excuse me?
It is a different organization than
Yes, yeah,
this group. But they have access off of Hopewell Road also.
But the question is, would they be able to get an entrance with that distance that they have?
Yes, they are guaranteed an access point, and could they be granted an entrance off the short portion that they have on that frontage? Possibly, but most likely would come
But
off
they would have to be,
Hopewell Road.
they would have to be granted that off of, from Hopewell Landings.
Most likely from Hopewell.
I know, but what if they wanted it back there? They couldn't get it in if we convey all that.
That would be subject to the private parties at that point.
They could then come talk to us.
No, I'm just saying, Terry, that if we would only convey from here in, okay, versus keeping this portion, yes, the maintenance is still there, but, I would say this would be like in granting an easement, here, I mean, not an easement, but, allowing either Case Edwards or Hopewell Cushwell Farms to be able to use that, but it's owned by you. Is that possible?
Case Edwards, and Hopewell Landing are the same group.
Oh, okay. Well, then same difference, but I mean.
Right, that doesn't, that's,
Is that
Case
possible,
Edwards is
being
the
the-
original builder, Mr. Arthur's father.
I understand. but I'm
According to
saying if
this,
they went
yes,
back and
and
just screwed
it hasn't been used for a long time. It's,
So they would.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Terry, I'm wrong here. This is private in here, so we can't do that, what I'm talking about. It's private from Hopewell Road in, so we can't pick up another. That's private. How you got a county road there now? Okay. So really, we have a road that's landlocked.
Yes.
Yes. Motion to approve. Aye.
thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I'm okay. Thank you.
Acres of property that's located on the south side of
I'll second that. Aye. Yes. I did. That's correct. Handed to me so generously by Mr. Downey. Motion to go into closed session.